Welcome to the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast, where we are building a community of people who are in the midst of midlife, sharing our stories and learning from each other along the way. Each week, I'll have a guest join me to discuss a topic that impacts our lives and touches on some aspect of midlife. We'll discuss relationships, transitions, health and well-being, parenting, careers, and more. My goal is to encourage and support you and help you thrive as you navigate this adventure of midlife. Join me here each week for the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast. This week on the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast, I'm speaking with Gretta Nance. Gretta is a 46-year-old with 20 plus years in the plastic surgery field, educating women navigating this often emotional world. But it's become much more than a career to her. It's a passion to help women live big, bold lives. She's passionate about personal growth and mental health, especially now that she's currently navigating the oft-neglected season of perimenopause. In this episode, Gretta shares how the perspective of plastic surgery has changed and how the results clients achieve positively impact their lives. She describes how her personal experience with plastic surgery was the catalyst for sharing her life authentically on social media, and how she is becoming more vocal about midlife and encouraging other women in this season. Gretta Nance, welcome to the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast.
20-year-old Gretta would probably not be as excited to be asked to be on this podcast, but almost 47-year-old Gretta is freaking pumped. So thank you.
Well, I'm so glad you're pumped. Yeah, I know. When I think back to when I was in my 20s and I heard the term middle age, or I heard someone that was in their 40s or their 50s, it's like, oh, wow, that's rough, man. That's old. It's like, no, we are vibrant. We are, I tell my son all the time, he's going to be 18 in December. I'm like, I'm still cool. I really don't know a lot of the current, artists and things going on, but I know some cool stuff. We had some cool music in the 80s. Behind me, I've got my Breakfast Club poster,
Heck yeah, I love it.
Hey, we had some cool stuff going on back in the day. So
No, it's a weird feeling in my 20s, I felt like someone in their 40s, life is over.
Yeah.
But I don't even care anymore because now it's like I got let in on the secret that now is when it's getting good.
Yeah.
There's some stuff we have to deal with, but at the same time we did in our 20s. So I'm really excited about this season.
Yeah, I am too. And I feel, and I've said this before to people, I feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like everything leading up to this point, and I turned 50 this year, was just like a primer, and I'm just getting going with certain aspects of my life that I couldn't be more excited about. So
yeah,
how cool.
Well, you really are, and you look fantastic, and I'm loving following all your journey too. So very inspirational.
Well, you were along for this last stage of it, which we can certainly talk about, because that was a whole heap of fun. Before we get into that, though, could you just briefly introduce yourself to the listeners, a little bit about yourself, your family, and what you do?
I would love to. I will try to keep it brief because it's quite dynamic. My name is Gretta Nance. I'm almost 47 years old. I have a blended family currently. I got remarried 7 years ago, and I had two sons, and now I also have two stepdaughters. So I've got, 4 between the ages of 12 and 16. So we are really in it right now, but honestly, it's going great. And I work for Amelia Aesthetics. I just had my 21-year anniversary in the plastic surgery industry, and with this company. And I agree with you on it's now just getting good. I don't know. I guess every season has been good, but I have a really neat role in the company of basically patient champion, patient supporter, patient storyteller, patient advocate. I am her, she is me. Sometimes I have trouble sticking up for myself, but I, for some reason, have no issue sticking up for her and being like, no, we've got to make this journey better. We've got to make this recovery easier. We've got to make our website better. We've got to make our social media better. So I'm always on the lookout for things that can be improved. And luckily, Amelia is very open to constant improvement. So my job stays quite busy all the time.
I cannot even imagine. follow you on social media, your travel schedule and everything. It's so fun because you really take your followers along on the trip, which is great for those of us who aren't traveling, but I'm sure it gets exhausting. And with family at home and everything else you have going on, I'm sure it can, take its, little bit of a toll at times, but you do such an amazing job. And I just want to echo what you were saying about your role with Amelia. I have such a, obviously a soft spot in my heart for Amelia, but you are absolutely incredible. When we met we met in person,
We
when I had
did.
my final skin removal surgery in August, and you made me feel like a rock star. I have to say, I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I've never had an experience like that before where I felt you guys were asking me interested questions and really wanting to know about me and my journey with plastic surgery, and then getting to go downtown St. Charles and filming. That was so much fun. I had the best time. Like, we could have kept going and going, and I would have been like, yes, let's do this and let's do that. It was great. So thank you.
I'm so glad. We really have managed to fill our company with women who get it. They're almost all patients multiple times over. Most of them have either had a weight loss journey or multiple pregnancies or something that kind of brought them into the practice. And so they can speak and connect with such empathy. And this is the best job ever. Like, it is fun. Like, every patient we get to interact with gives us energy and reminds us like what we're doing. And it's so fun because we know how scary it can be, or we know all of the uh, speed bumps and hurdles and things people have to go through to get mentally and physically and financially to that point. So it is like truly an honor when someone raises their hand and says, I'd like to tell my story publicly, because again, 21 years in this business, it did not used to be like that. People did not want to share. They were not proud somehow or embarrassed to have plastic surgery. And so watching that evolution is all, I'm always grateful for everyone who's like, I'm comfortable telling my story, because I know that will help 20 other people or 50. Like, you just don't know how many other women needed to hear that thing and resonated with that person, that's going to make them change their lives, because
Absolutely.
there's so much fear
Mhm.
in taking a leap like this, and it is a risk. But I enjoy being around risk-taking women too. I mean, and the risk is very managed. We're not talking about risky behavior, but it is a risk to spend money, take time off, tell your family, your job, whoever, hey, I'm going to do this thing for me.
Mhm.
That is a lot of times too much for most women. And
Mhm.
so when someone sees someone like you do it, there, we just get a flux every time of DMs and messages like, oh my God, we love her. Thank you for sharing that. Your authenticity, your all the things. So people like you are the ones who help us do this thing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like I said, I had all of those thoughts as well. So if anyone is listening to this and they're in that boat, or you're contemplating making a change involving any kind of procedure like this, I was there too. You question, gosh, should I spend this money on myself? Oh, what a thing to do. Or right, taking the time off for recovery, because there is some time off you need to do depending on what you're having done. How am I going to take care of my family while I'm, recovering and healing? And what I should be really doing is taking care of myself, right? So it's not that I can't do that, but I have a family that needs me. So what am I going to do? And again, I think just recognizing that I worked really hard to get where I am. And so have so many other women who are in the same boat as me. And gosh darn it, I deserve to have the quality of life that I want. And for me, that involved having multiple skin removal surgeries. So it's not just a vanity thing. And I think that's such a bad rap. And maybe, kind of talking
Mhm.
about 20 years ago, that was what plastic surgery was really viewed at is, oh, she's so vain. All she cares about is what she looks like. And yes, I mean, there is an element to that, right? I want
Mhm.
to wear cute clothes. My goal starting out for all of this was, one, I wanted to be able to work out because I was having difficulty working out with all the extra skin
Mhm.
I had. And I wanted to be able to tuck in a shirt. I wanted to just be
Mhm.
able to tuck in a shirt and have it be flat. And that was really it for me. But it's been so much more. And I mean, we could talk about that all day long. But yeah,
Yep.
it's not about vanity. It's about
quality of life. It's about being confident in your skin, I really felt like I took back my body that for so many years felt like I was just living in this other person, and the real me was in there. And now I'm coming out more and more confident and more assertive. And those, I mean, you can't put a price tag on that, right? You just can't.
No.
There's nothing you can.
I have sworn if we could figure out how to bottle up that like post-surgery confidence and sell it, I
Yeah.
mean, we'd be the richest people in the entire
Yeah.
planet, because it's such a magical feeling. But I do think, and I did too 20 years ago, the perception of plastic surgery is again getting better, but it still is, I think that it's this Hollywood for super wealthy people who either have mental problems and need to change their appearance, or they're only, it's we don't see those people. Maybe they exist, but we have 6 Amelia locations currently. We are the people who are in line next to you at, Harris Teeter, or
Right.
who are at the school pickup, and it's just a thing that is preventing them from living their best life. And it's usually something just like you said, so simple: tucking in a shirt. Wearing shorts is one we hear a lot. Wearing a tank top without a bra, like whatever that thing is. It's not this, yeah, I hate myself, I want to
No.
completely change my appearance. I just want to be the best version of myself. And either I've worked hard and I can't change something, or I can't change, I can't change my nose, or you can't
Right.
change, something else. And you know what? Damn it, I'm going to do something about it. And honestly, I feel like I have seen when you actually take that risk too, and then it pays off so great, your life changes a bit. You start dipping out there a little more and stepping out and showing up. And I mean, I think plastic surgery can be a snowball for most people of like living a more intentional life. And if anything, you're not taking from your family, which I hear a lot. Oh, money or, time that could go towards my kids. You know what will go towards them? Having a strong ass mom who is proud and comfortable and confident. And I'm just like, I am a 10 times better mom because of plastic surgery. What a weird statement, but it's true.
Oh, I completely agree. When I am at my best, I'm a better parent. I'm a better spouse. I'm a better employee. I'm a better whatever, sister, friend. It it has such an impact on you mentally and emotionally that you just can't help operate better in the world, navigate the world in a better way. And that's what's
Mhm.
so powerful. And that's what people I don't think that have ever been through it can really understand until you're on the other side of it, or someone has been on the other side of it. When I went to see Dr. Fredman last June for my 6-month follow-up, my husband, who like most guys isn't super like deep emotionally, like I mean he is, but doesn't come out with these profound philosophical statements. And totally unprompted, because I was talking to Dr. Fredman about how I was feeling. And my husband said to Dr. Fredman, he said, her confidence since having these procedures has skyrocketed. She is so much more confident within herself, within things that she's doing. Like for him to just notice that and say that, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm feeling is real. And I too have seen other people who have been through this experiencing the exact same thing. So,
Mhm.
oh, cool. And what a cool thing to get to do for a living.
It
So,
is.
yeah.
It is. And through things we've built because of exactly what you're saying, like the bus mob community, which is an online women only community to talk about this stuff, like it gets addictive in the way that you want to pay it forward. Because
Right.
I want,
Yeah.
and I filmed my sister's surgery this Monday,
Yes.
which was so cool. But like, because I'm so excited for her to get to have that feeling that I had, when she starts being like, hey, this thing is bothering me, this thing's bothering me, there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm just like, I know that there is actually something that can free up that negative talk too. I mean, of course, I am not saying that you should go have plastic surgery instead of therapy, but
No.
like, once your foundation is solid and it's still something you want to do, how is it any different than dyeing your hair or buying it? Like, it's just an extension of, I want to feel good about my appearance for me.
Mm.
So I think that's where social media comes into it with me too. I don't think about it as much of a burden even though my husband probably sometimes is like,
Yeah.
early in our relationship, we had to talk through how much time is spent on the phone, but I think we've got it down to a pretty small amount. But I am dying to constantly show up and show that it isn't what you think it might be. And this business and this industry, I probably have a bit of my chip on my shoulder about people not being supportive of it when I first started. And I still have people who don't get it. Cool. They're probably not a big part of my life anymore, but it's so cool to show up in an authentic way and work for a company that allows that, and be like, no, 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 we're literally helping women, and this is what I've chosen to do the rest of my life. And so I love getting to share on social about all the things, not just plastic surgery wise, but just all the things I'm doing. It's like a journal for me in a way.
Yeah, I was going to say you are wonderful about showing up very authentically on social media, talking about your own procedures that you've had, things that you're doing with your physical health, your mental health. Can you share a little bit more about that? You just did talk about it, but how has that impacted you? What kind of feedback do you get? Because I know I really appreciate it, because a lot of the things that you're sharing, I think a lot of us are also going through, whether it be, physical things we're doing to try to take better care of ourselves, things with family, kids, spouses.
Mm-hmm.
How has that just been a part of this whole journey for you?
That's such a good question. I've always been like a fit-ish person. Like I've always been an athlete and enjoyed working out. But in 2020, finally, I think my youngest was 8. My sister had had a tummy tuck. I feel like I copy everything she does. She seems to do it before me, but then I'm like, no, no, well, you have a greater stomach than me. But she had a tummy tuck, and then I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. I was okay with my weight and my body, but I'd had 2 C-sections and wasn't feeling great about it, but I did it, and that was such a catalyst to feeling like I owned my body again in a lot of ways. Like I was really tired of going to the gym and not seeing any difference, not feeling any difference. Truly, like I would go 4 days a week and I did burn boot camp. I feel like I didn't see really any difference. Now, there were things I probably could have amped it up, but there was nothing that was going to change the abs and my feeling. And it just felt so soft and whatever. Like I'm happy with being a mom, but I was not loving that. And immediately, with a tummy tuck, especially when you have muscle repair, you can feel your core, you can see your core. And I couldn't stop looking at it. And that honestly led me to focus probably more on the 40s, entering 40s probably didn't hurt it either, that I had to start paying a bit more attention, and the things that I could get away with in my 20s and 30s weren't working anymore. But I'm so glad, because I just, now over almost the last 5 years, I have really intentionally year by year chipped away at, all right, this year I'm going to focus on sleep. And then this year I'm going to focus on nutrition. And then this year I'm going to focus on weightlifting. And right now, I'm currently in more of my weightlifting, like obsessed with perimenopause and strength training and, hormone replacement. But I realized, especially with my tummy tuck, no one was sharing this stuff. Before my tummy tuck, I'm sure you could find some breast augmentation, people who would share their story, but there was traumatic. There were these bloggers that moved out of their bedroom for a month. There's one I specifically remember. She bought, a new TV for the guest room, and she bought a recliner, and I'm like, I know this to not be real life. That is not, you can't tell a woman she needs to take a month off from a tummy tuck. That's just unrealistic and unfair. That was really unfair to be showing people that's what it's like. So I kind of said to my husband, are you okay with me documenting this? And he doesn't watch most of it anyway. He doesn't understand, but he's very supportive of it. And he watches it work in a way. He watches these women come up to me at Target or come up to me at a restaurant and be like, I know you. Thank you for sharing. You helped me do X. And that is addictive. But yeah, the tummy tuck thing blew up with my social media of like questions. People from other countries, oh my God, you shared, because I shared it all. Day by day photos are on my Instagram and my highlight reels. I wanted to show the bruising, the vaginal swelling, all these things, and that I was back to work, within a week or two. and that you'll work out again and you'll have sex again and you'll reclaim your body again. And I think no one had really done much of that. So that really led me to be like, well, why wouldn't I then talk about estrogen? Or why wouldn't I? All these things that it's not cool, maybe for old ladies to talk about. I'm like, I'm going to talk about it. This is fun. And you know what? These women are coming out of the woodwork. And I'm like, we have a club and you're part of the club and I'm part of the club. And it's a cool club. So I don't, there aren't as many, whether you want to call them influencers or content creators, or we like to use the word women with influence here at Amelia. Like everyone who has an account has influence, in a way. It's how you choose to use it. And I have really enjoyed using it to help others and hold myself accountable. I'll be like, all right, guys, I'm going to not drink for the next week. Hold me to it.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's probably a good chance because I said that and put that out there that I'm going to, again, I probably won't follow up with my own internal commitment, but I'll follow up on an external commitment. And so I have learned to game Instagram to help me. And it really, really does.
Right, right. I agree completely. When you put it out there to the world, I think it does something to you internally to say, you know what, I need to show up for these people that I committed to, but I also want to show up for me. And I also agree that before you really started sharing, there wasn't a lot of positive perspectives on body. I call it body transformation because that's really what I feel like it's been for me. And you only heard, the horror stories of someone who had a botched procedure or the pain factor. I've met so many women in my age range as well who were like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think at 45 or 50 or beyond that I should do something like this or could do something like this. They think it's all for the young, youthful, young folks, which again, they can do what they want to do. But at our age, they were like, I just didn't even think this was for me or that I could do this. And so to let women know of any age that, yes, this is for you and it will impact you in such amazing ways is great. So I love how you use your social media because again, I think it's inspiring, it's informative. You also provide so much education and information, which that's one of the things I loved about Bus Mob because that was the first place I went when I decided to have my first procedure was Bus Mob, and the education that's out there that you provide through Bus Mob, but also through your social media is so critical. There's so much misinformation out there about different procedures and what is appropriate. Like you said, you don't need to be bedridden for months after a tummy tuck. I remember I was 1 week post-op. I walked into Dr. Fredman's office just standing up straight. I mean, I even had drains in the whole works. I was like, yeah, you're sore, but I'm like, and I had an extensive fleur-de-lis tummy tuck. I had the works, he gave me the
Amazing.
the full works. And I walked in a week later. Okay, let's go. I was ready to go home and I was like, let's, what's next. Right. So, again, I think if you looked at other people's profiles or websites, you'd think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to recover. This is going to be so awful. And it's really, really not. And the results so far outweigh any of that. I would tell anyone I've met since I've been sharing some things, and then Amelia's also been sharing and you've been sharing. I've met a couple of women online who have asked me some questions about different things I've had done. And they're, so excited to know that this is a real person I'm talking to and she's okay. Like she had the surgery, she's recovering, she's feeling fine. It's almost like they can't believe that, and again, everybody's different. Everyone has different experiences, but for the most part, yeah, it's not the scary horror stories that you hear. And there's all this misinformation that just is so unnecessary and really just not great to be out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Women are so strong. We've been through, like, a lot of us, if we've been through childbirth or whatever, this is nothing compared to all the things we've gone through. And the human body is unreal. Like you just, if you watch a surgery, you're like, no one is going to live through this. And literally, like, again, just what you said. I mean, your stomach was cut open and your muscles repaired and skin was removed. And 7 days later, you walked in and were standing up straight. Even watching my sister, she had her upper and lower eyelids done on Monday, and I scrubbed in and watched her surgery, which was honestly kind of tough to watch your own sister's surgery. And eyeball things can be gross, but I mean, they have her eyelids open and flipped upside down and they're inside. I'm not going to tell her what all went down. I'm just like, let me see. I mean, we were watching Chimp Crazy that night. She asked if she could have wine. I was like, no. She's working it's not even 24 hours later. Like, the body is unreal. And that's why I do, though. Like, you should be as healthy as you can, though, too. This is when people ask, am I obese? Can I have this? How long do I have to stop smoking? I'm kind of like, I think we're asking the wrong questions here if you want to have a really positive experience. So I am not like pro plastic surgery as in everyone needs it.
No.
It is for the select people who are ready and something is really bothering them. They wake up thinking about it. They might go to bed thinking about it. There's nothing they can do about it. But financially and health-wise, they can do this well. Those are the people that are going to enjoy the experience, because you should, and love the recovery. If you didn't really want to do it in the first place, and it didn't really bother you, you're going to hate every second of that, itching and burning and bruising.
Mm-hmm.
People think that when they come into a plastic surgeon's office, plastic surgeons are going to tell them, or the girls in the office are going to be like, oh, she needs this. And it's so not true. When people try to even do that, tell me what I need. I'm like, oh, no. What bothers you that keeps you up at night? Because that's the only thing you should do. You're not going to enjoy anything else if you do. And so I spent, we see 600-700 patients a year. I've been doing this for 21 years. And for 15 of those, I saw every patient and did the kind of behind the door, you've seen the surgeon. Now let's do real talk, girl. And that's when you hear all the real stuff.
Right.
Here's what my husband thinks, and my parents won't speak to me about this, or here's where the money came from because my dad just died. And it's such real, raw reasonings. They're all different, but many times I've been like, this is not the time, because truly what is cool again about where I work is I get to be the patient advocate. Like, I do feel like I work for her, not for them.
Right.
Even though obviously I do, like, my goal is to make sure she's having the right surgery at the right time for optimal outcomes for everyone, because that is, we're sure you need money to run a business, but we are definitely not interested in doing surgery on anyone who is not fully ready, because that's not good for anyone.
No.
So it's really fun. And sometimes it's not the right time, but a lot of time, I mean, most of the things we hear immediately at the 1 week post-op are, why didn't I do this sooner? And that breaks my heart sometimes, though, because some people have, they should have done it 20 years before or whatever. Like, but once you make that decision, most people are ready to rock and roll, because they're like, my life has been on hold and I'm ready to go. So it's a very, very fun, positive, addictive experience to get to work here and see all the excitement and transformation every day.
Yeah. And that was me for sure. I mean, I had, dramatic weight loss and lived with all of that extra skin for, 20 plus years, almost 30 years. And you kind of just get used to it and think, well, I can just live with this. I'll just live with this. I'll just work with it. And then when I'd really gotten, some good, solid, consistent, healthy habits in place, and I looked around and I was happy with where I was on, weight wise and fitness wise, I was just like, you know what? I don't have to live with this, and I don't want to live with this. And again, I completely 100% agree about Amelia's philosophy, because it was all driven by me in terms of, I'm ready. Here's the priority of things I want. No one ever said to me, well, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. It was all driven by my choices, and everything was so transparent through the whole entire process, and so honest. And meeting, Brittany and Dr. Fredman and Kendra and the whole team, at Amelia, everyone was so also encouraging and supportive. I think plastic surgeons tend to get this bad rap of they're like these really slick, kind of, like you said, the Hollywood kind of image. And I just felt immediately comfortable when I had my consultation with Dr. Fredman. It was just like I was talking to a friend, and he also happens to know how to do these really amazing procedures that are going to help me. And so the comfort level that was there. So yes, your role in all of this helps people determine how they want to move forward in the right way. And maybe it isn't time, but if it is, wow, it's an amazing journey, and it's incredible and wonderful and amazing. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm glad we're doing this on this specific podcast, because I do feel like there's two distinct seasons of plastic surgery. There is obviously the 20-year-olds who probably haven't had kids and want a breast augmentation, which was me. I had my breast augmentation at 25, life-changing experience. I had never, I mean, I looked like the wall, and it had always been something in my mind. And I really had an issue with like femininity and like, well, if a woman has breasts, that helps to differentiate from a man, and I don't have them. I always, did the push-up bra game and all of that, but never was going to do it because that's, I didn't have the money, or I didn't understand. It seemed awfully painful and something that only the rich did. And then I know I've told you the story. My sister lost 100 pounds when we were in our 20s, and she skipped off to a plastic surgeon's office and said, I'm getting a breast. Like, she looked amazing, but she couldn't do anything about her breasts. And she was like, I haven't had kids. I don't even have a boyfriend, but I do not want to live like this. And that, I think I was applying for plastic surgery jobs within a week of her surgery, because I'm like, this is the most amazing industry. I had no idea it was for real people. But then we get into our 40s and 50s, and I feel like there is a mental shift, not only a physical shift, but a mental shift, obviously, for us, where it's like, okay, I'm seeing that season is coming to an end of babies and birthday parties and carpool, but now what's left for me? Where am I at? And so I have some of the strongest, fittest, coolest, 40, 50, 60-year-old girlfriends that I run with, and they, versus the 20s, have the maturity and the means and the perspective. Just, I don't know, it's a really cool, different conversation that I feel like and I'm glad you said, I think I get the question all the time, is 45 too old to do this? Is 50 too old to do this? I'm like, are you kidding me? But because I get to see it every day, but not everybody else does. No, man, that's when it's just getting started. Now you're going to make some really cool choices, and you can take your time a bit more with recovery. Better, so you'll do better, you'll eat better, all of the things. You'll eat protein this time, you'll get good sleep, I don't know. Don't be afraid of it at this age. If anything, this is unfortunately where your body gets a little more out of your control again. My kids are all going, like half of them are literally going through puberty right now, and I'm going through perimenopause at the same time. And honestly, it's actually given me a lot of empathy for them, because I'm like, wow, if I feel like this out of control, I can't imagine how out of control you must feel. But with my body, that's been really frustrating, so I understand why. I encourage women, if this is on your radar, maybe just learn a bit more about it and see that it could be something, and it might not be for you. You might find out about the recovery or something you don't like. Cool. But at least you can put it to bed and not keep beating yourself up about, should I, like, being on the fence sucks. So that is what, again, I get to do, is put out information so people can decide on their own. Because most places do not. They hold that information so close to the chest. It is literally a strategy, obviously. And it blows my mind. I wouldn't go test drive a car without knowing basically exactly how much it costs. But most places, no, you have to come in first. You have to pay a consultation fee. You have to get naked. You have to go through all of my gauntlet, then I, as the surgeon, will give you the info. And again, Amelia's like, Greta, we'll pay you to just share everything you've seen and know, so people can decide ahead of time whether this is even something they want to learn more about. So it is fun. And yeah, I'm entering the older I get, the more vocal and comfortable I am just being more authentic and just putting it out there, whether people like it or not. So that is probably going to be more of 2025 for me, of just, I'm sorry, girl, you shouldn't have like what you and I were talking about earlier. Someone asked, oh, I can't take 6 weeks off the gym. Should I have a mini tummy tuck instead of a full? I think you're asking the wrong question. But that's maybe not a PC answer, but I'm like, well, then you should not have surgery at all. If you're not thinking about a long-term investment, you're thinking about a short-term thing, then you won't be happy. And those first 6 weeks, you will regret your decision. And that's awful. You should be loving every minute of the experience you're going through because you wanted it, you bought it, you paid for it, you did it, you're brave, you're awesome. So yeah, I'm excited to start being a bit more vocal and a bit more comfortable in my own skin and sharing this whole next season of my age.
Well, and I think it's advocacy in a way, because I think that there is so much misinformation out there. So many other practices do withhold it. That's again what really drew me to Amelia, was everything was out there, not just the pricing, but also here's what the procedure is, here's what we do, here's what the recovery is. All the videos that I watched, I see it so many times in different groups I'm in and things, of people who go into these procedures, not with Amelia surgeons, I'll just say, with other surgeons that have no idea what they've signed themselves up for. They're like, oh, I'm 2 days post-op, I'm in so much pain. Well, yeah, you're 2 days post-op from a pretty major surgery. It's going to hurt. I mean, so I felt so informed, so educated, so aware to as much as I could without going through it myself. That, I look at some of these people like, what are you doing? How as a, surgical practice can these people practice that way? Whereas Amelia, it's just so out, everything's just out there. But also to your other point, just advocating for this is what it is, this is what it's not. Here's who should pursue something if you feel ready to do it. And hey, if you're in this boat over here, you probably shouldn't. And I know that might be a hard truth, but I'm just being honest. I'm not going to blow smoke because I think, we want to get you in for a consultation. That's not, that's not how things work. And so I think that needs to become the standard. I think what Amelia is doing is the standard that everybody else needs to strive to. And I know there's probably other practices that do that too, but I just have experience with Amelia, so that's all I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see the advocacy, the just complete transparent. I mean, it's already transparent, but like you just really sharing that, because I think it's important. It's important for people to know. So
yeah. The tide is turning. Like I'm seeing, like I'm hoping Amelia is somewhat of a part of that. Our internal mission statement is to change the nation's perception of plastic surgery, which I could have tattooed on my body because that's how I feel personally and for everyone. I want my kids to not feel the shame that was 20 years ago. I don't like something about my body. Let me hide it and maybe do something in secret and then be embarrassed about it. So it is starting to happen, but yeah, can you imagine deciding to get pregnant and then not having a book or a guide or anyone to not know what is coming next? Like I feel angry when I read those things in Bus Mob, like you're saying, about someone jumping into something and not having a clue what's going to happen next. It must be terrifying. So it gets me up every day to be like, what does someone need to know? And so each time I get to walk through a surgery, like with you, through your kind of whole thing or that day, I am looking for listening to what questions you had to be like, how could I have built something to make that so she didn't have that question? Or even with my sisters right now, I took care of her the first 24 hours and I'm like, we should have a better system for writing down prescriptions. And it's so fun to be like, how can I make this better? Because, we could talk about our medical system right now, our regular medical system, but I am so angry at like every regular doctor's appointment I have because it's not like Amelia, but I'm like, you do have the ability to have made this better for me, but because of insurance or time or money, you can't. I can't wait till it's not like that anymore. And it's more like this. So yeah,
exactly.
it's a fun job.
Yeah. Well, again, I just appreciated everything that you did for me going into that final procedure. Like I said, it was so much fun. And it just felt like I had, you guys were in there with me, just like I had two girlfriends in there coming on in, and I was going to get knocked out and wake up with, my bat wings gone and my insides all tight. And so I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. I'm simplifying it and making it sound like we had a little party in there. I mean, maybe you guys did. I don't know. It was so much fun to just spend that time with you. And your role again is absolutely critical for patients, for the practice, because it sheds light on what's going on, and it really is changing the way these procedures are perceived. I think especially within the community kind of that I feel like I've been into, of people who have had a lot of weight loss and have a lot of skin. For us, I think it's a little different going into some of these procedures, at least, especially some of the women I've talked to who've lost, 70 pounds, 80 pounds, 100 plus pounds. We have this different mentality, and you and I have kind of talked about that and importance of that, making that available for people. So if you were sitting down with someone who is considering making some changes with plastic surgery, and maybe they have lost a lot of weight, or maybe they haven't, maybe they just, had a couple of kids and they're not happy with their way their skin on their stomach is sitting at the moment. What are some things you would want them to know, or that you'd want them to understand about this transformation that they're about to go through?
That is such a good question. I feel like, and I probably got fired from being a coordinator eventually, not really, here because I talk too much. And they're like, Greta, you cannot spend 90 minutes with every single patient. But first of all, I loved it and it was fun and it comes very naturally. But I think it's worth, I would have so many other questions for that person, and I would know where they were at in their lives, where they were at almost in their marriage, in their body journey, to understand, hey, I think you should do this right away, or I think you should do this in a year, or, you keep talking about this 30 pounds you want to lose, maybe you want to wait. But I would say, especially with the tummy tuck, and again, I'm so glad I have been lucky enough to get to go through a lot of these surgeries. I think having that personal perspective, I could tell you the ins and outs of a tummy tuck before and how my sisters went, but until I could speak personally and just be like, it's going to be crazy, but I'm like, I've had two C-sections, and people are often like, is it similar, worse, or better? And I'm like, well, what was your C-section like? Like, trying to compare it is insane because everyone's experience with everything is different. I was glad I got a little healthy the month before. So I would say to someone, especially if you're planning it a couple months out, think about that. Almost every girlfriend, and I just had a girlfriend, she's 57, have a full, and she didn't want to call it mommy makeover because she's like, I have grandkids now.
Yeah.
She's like, can this be like and we think we started jokingly calling it like a midlife makeover or a middle age makeover, which I loved.
Yeah.
And she was sending me daily progress updates. She just keeps being like, this is amazing. I can't believe she had a reduction and a tummy tuck with liposuction. She did say, I wish I would have gotten healthier sooner. Just like she's like, in general, I was so surprised how much obviously I used my legs, how much just my nutrition was off track, how much, my blood pressure was giving me issues afterwards and things like that. So I do think I would always tell someone, if you've got some lead up, think about this as an investment. Like, think about what you want to eat afterwards and be very intentional about filling your freezer. I had like recipes with sticky notes on the fridge of smoothies for my husband to make me. Even though I didn't love those smoothies, I knew if someone else made them for me, I would, drink them to get all the things that I needed. I would say don't step on the scale for a long time afterwards. No plastic surgery that I can think of is a weight loss surgery. So just get weight out of your head. I don't care if we take off 5 pounds of skin. It will take months and months and months to eventually maybe see those 5 pounds, but it's body contouring, it's body shaping. It's not a weight loss thing.
No.
You got to wear the garment for 6 weeks afterwards, listen to your body. Just like we were talking about that woman who didn't want to do the gym or didn't want to take a break. Take a break. It's okay. Focus on your nutrition. Go for walks.
Yep.
You will be back in the gym. I'm almost 5 years out from my tummy tuck now. And again, I can't believe I post pictures of myself in a bathing suit on the internet, but which I never would have done ever, ever, ever in a million years before the tummy tuck. But it keeps getting better. But now I'm like a gym person because you get to see your results. I don't know. It completely put everything back in control for me. But yeah, I would just say to someone, if you're done having kids and you can afford this and you are healthy and this is bothering you, you hate shopping, and like, is that not the thing, getting ready every morning and trying on 10 things and destroying your closet and then starting your morning feeling like that? What if, you could go in and love everything that was in your closet and do it in it changes your entire morning. Therefore, it changes your whole day. Like, it is such a mindset shift. You can't even explain it. So yeah, if there's never a right time. You'll never have enough money. Your marriage, sure, there are some things if your husband is deployed or things like that that you need to work around. But I often hear, ah, I'll take that vacation whenever. I don't know. You never know when that will be, and there will never be the right time. Like, go for it and then DM me and let me know how great it is.
Yes, I agree with all of that. Second that, all of it. I think getting yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared is such a gift to yourself before you have a procedure like that. And yeah, you see people who don't do it, and then you see people who do, and it's just, amazing, the difference in how they're feeling about having the procedure and post-procedure, and also the recovery stage as well. So that is the best advice I think that anyone could give anybody thinking about this. And I want to tell people, I will put a link in the show notes to your social media, to Amelia. If you're someone who is thinking about any type of, procedure, again, I'm, a little biased. Amelia is where my heart is, and I know it's yours as well. They have offices and growing all over the country. Again, I'm a little biased to Dr. Fredman in St. Charles, but that's because I've been there multiple times, and he and his team are just amazing. But I was telling this to someone the other day because she doesn't live near here. And I said, well, there is probably an Amelia surgeon close to you. And I have no doubt that if for some reason, Dr. Fredman wasn't around, I could go to any of the Amelia surgeons. I would be thrilled with how I would look. Like, that's how confident I am in Amelia protocols, processes, team, procedures, everything they do. Like, I could go, to Dr. Hunter or Dr. Pyle or whoever and be thrilled, So that's the cool thing, is that there's a lot of options for people to travel to as well, to get an Amelia surgeon, which is
Yeah,
really,
that is
really
our
fun.
goal. And it's funny, 20 years ago, travel surgery, if you would have interviewed me and said, what should I travel? I would be like, absolutely not. That is completely unsafe. COVID helped to change a lot when it came to telemedicine and things like that, but it did force us all to figure out how to do this seamlessly and safely. And so now I would say, yeah, if you don't have a great surgeon around you, and a lot of people don't, depending on where you live, it is definitely worth considering trying some virtual consultations with some surgeons, seeing who you click with, making sure you feel educated after your virtual consult and you felt safe sending in photos. Like, there are some weird things out there.
Yeah.
Do not text nude photos to anyone. Make sure, we had to really figure out a HIPAA compliant, easy way for people to do this, and then safely have a protocol of staying in town and using compression socks and not flying over X amount of time. Like, it can totally be done safely now.
Yeah.
I love Dr. Fredman as well. They have an awesome team, and he was our second practice. He was our first additional practice out of our Raleigh practice. And so, yeah, that was a special experience anyway. And he was the first amazing human that we were like, we can't let him leave. We need to change our business model to keep him in our lives. And that's honestly, he is why multiple Amelias exist. And that whole business model exists because he was so amazing and we wanted to hang on to him. So.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, they all hold such a special place for me. And I feel bad. I have my 6-month follow-up in February, and I'm like, well, I think I'm kind of done now but I'm like, what excuse could I have to go back?
No, the med spa. I'm going to come out
Yes.
there maybe when it opens and we can meet up.
Go down there and check it out. And yeah,
Yep.
that's my excuse now. I can go
Yes.
down, and I don't live far, so I can just hop in the car and make a day of it and go down and visit. And they'll get annoyed with
Absolutely.
me and be like, oh no, Nicole's back. What's she doing here?
I don't think so. I think they'll hire you. I think that's their ultimate goal if you'd move.
I would love it. I would love it. I could just camp right out in the waiting room. I'll just sleep there on the couch. Wake up, go up. I'm there. I'm good.
You would be an amazing patient advocate. Like, it's right. I mean,
Yeah, I
you
love it.
would, and
Yeah.
what a cool job. So you never know. Maybe I need to find more of me, and you would be the first one.
Clone you. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. It's been such a big part of my life for the past few years. And again, the journey it's incredible. And when you have a team like that and people behind you like that, it just makes it so much more pleasant and encouraging. I always felt supported, and just like they were as excited for me as I think the day of that surgery, when you guys were in there with me, I felt like you guys were almost more excited than me. Like I was like excited to do it, but you guys were just like, oh my God, and this is awesome. And well, I mean, wow, what more could a person ask for than that? So
It is exciting.
it is. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it. This has been so fun. We could probably talk all day long about this, but we all have things to do. So I just appreciate your time, Greta. Thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you do for Amelia, for Bus Mob, and the community. It's awesome.
It is truly my pleasure. And I am so excited and honored to be included in the midlife conversation, because I'm there, baby. And let's keep talking about it. Thank you for shining a light on it. Just like plastic surgery, and not making it a weird, confusing, alone experience. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow the show to make sure the latest episode is on your podcast feed each week. I would greatly appreciate a rating and a 5-star review on the podcast platform you're listening on. It helps others to find the show. If there are topics you'd like me to discuss on the show, please email me at themarvelousmiddleagepodcast@gmail.com or direct message me on Instagram at Nicole Stute. Thank you for listening.